I know that you're on my team. I don't feel it right now, but I love you. I know you got my back. We're going to work this out. You can do something like that.
Welcome to the Maverick Entrepreneur Podcast, where business success meets personal purpose. Here we empower entrepreneurs to strike that perfect balance between massive growth and unwavering values. Dive deep into strategies, inspirations, and stories that ensure you set your foundation in faith and don't compromise your family on your ascent to the top. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. As I am excited about today, have a very amazing guest, a friend, and more so, our family counselor. Yes, you heard that right. Family and marriage counselor for many, many years, almost a decade. We're rolling up on a decade. And so he knows all the dirt pretty much. So I wanted to bring this amazing man on, loves Jesus, loves people, and is making a great impact, not only in the community here where we live in San Diego, not only in our church, not only around the world. I know you got books coming. I mean, I heard that word. So maybe you can let this. This is the one and only Brian Reiswig here in San Diego, California. You can Google him, but I mean, we're talking like a 3-year wait, list to see him. But you now have amazing associates you're training.
We got a team. We're building a team.
Building a team.
Yeah, you can get good care.
Come on, I love it. So if you could just introduce yourself to the audience and then what you're passionate about, meaning what are the things that you love? I mean, not everybody can be all things to everybody, and I know you have some niche work. Yeah. I would love to hear, what are you passionate about helping people with, and what are some niches that you operate that you feel you have some strengths in?
Man, my passion for counseling, for therapy, really came out of my testimony, me and my wife, because we got married really young, which I used to think of as a bad thing, but now I think, man, God just launched us right into that refining fire really early in our life. And about 3 years into our marriage, I had done a pretty good job of shipwrecking my marriage, and that launched us into counseling. And we were really fortunate. We found an amazing therapist, Gina Robertson Smith, who she's actually not in private practice anymore, but
you still know her name.
We're still friends.
Come on, that's amazing.
She's actually moved she does mental health support in the military now. She's an incredible therapist, but she's not in private practice anymore. She loves God. She came out of a seminary. She got a clinical training in a seminary, and our lives were so transformed by that space. I went into graduate school. I actually was about halfway through a master's degree in education, bailed. I got this just clear call. I turned to my wife. She's like, you got to do it. And I couldn't believe that Sarah was supporting me leaving the master's degree I was halfway done with. Went to a seminary so I could study my faith and clinical psychology together. And I came out kind of weird. I came out knowing, because of what we've been through, I want to help couples who are crashing. I want to help couples who are in crisis, because I just believe so deeply that God designed the marriage relationship to transform us, to unlock us, to bring us into like the fullness of our identity in Christ. He's like this really unique, perfect incubator. And because of just really early, incredible relationships with people like you, Dr. Matt, I have grown to have this incredible privilege of supporting really high capacity vision people, leaders, entrepreneurs. And because of that, because of the culmination of all these pieces that I could not have planned or chosen, they came together. I come from a perspective we call attachment theory, this belief that really reflects, it's a neuroscience, but it reflects our identity in Christ. So it's like, man, when we have a really secure base, when we have a relationship where we can be just ridiculously known, really naked, known, loved, accepted, and feel safe there, risk and uncertainty and taking territory actually becomes energizing. When if we lack that secure base, we either shy away from risk, it becomes scary, or we move into it from an unhealthy place. And I'm taking risks to numb the anxiety or the lack of identity I have. So that's my passion. My passion is helping people with big vision and big dreams understand how marriage, identity, Christ actually all builds the foundation they want to just unlock those things.
You said something. You said shipwreck. Would you say a train wreck or a shipwreck would be worse?
Train wreck or a shipwreck. I say either one.
Either one, yeah. I feel
Fatality
like
is
I've
pretty
train wrecked
high.
a few. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why I went to ship.
Shipwreck?
Maybe because I needed a life preserver when I was out there. I needed somebody else. I couldn't have walked away from that crash. We weren't on land. I needed somebody else to come rescue us.
You know, my poor brain, just when you said that, I was like, yeah, I've never shipwrecked anything. Oh, you know what? But I have train wrecked my marriage a couple times. Okay. I wonder which one's worse now. I mean, this will help people. Now, I don't want them to get lost up in
You
attachment.
need the right
there.
metaphor.
They need the right metaphor. They might think, no, I just blew a tire.
Sometimes that's all. If you get into really, really good pastoral care or really good marriage counseling when you blow a tire, that's a better strategy. Do it when the tire goes out. What I did is we blew a lot of tires and I just kept driving. I'm like, no, I'm good. And then eventually all of those little crashes build up and there's real damage. Yeah.
I think we were, when we got married, it was just young. We were bumper cars. We weren't mature enough to have full vehicles. So I was like, thank goodness our speed wasn't, going head-on collisions with each other. It was just bumper cars, which, bam, bam. There's only so much bumping you can do. You're like, all right, let's go see this guy.
Yeah.
And it's been amazing. And you definitely have a gift. You definitely have discernment. You definitely have that. That's why I'm so excited, just to have all these listeners understand who you are and what you bring to the table and really give them hope. It's not like you're the only one out there doing it.
Yeah.
You have a circle of, practitioners that are, is that the term we use? Therapists?
Yeah.
Therapists that.
We practice clinical therapy like you practice medicine.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I don't practice medicine.
Yeah.
Don't be messing with me.
Practice.
You're gonna get me a bunch of haters over here.
Do you say practice chiropractic?
Well, the practice of chiropractic. Yeah, I sell crack for a living. And but
that's actually true.
Yeah,
that's literally true.
Yeah, it could be. But it's Pastor Jurgen says the best crack that he's ever had. Yeah, hopefully the only crack he's ever had. But I regress, and I ask, what could give hope if we just can wrap this in a little bundle? Because I know we have a special thing about to happen. Yeah. But if we could wrap up, what could instill hope? We have a lot of couples probably watching, definitely entrepreneurs and business people. They love God. They want to make the right choices, but they might be just at that crossroads in marriage or with, a significant other. What's a little nugget of hope you could give them? Because a lot of people still today, I can't believe it. I have created a bubble in my world, and I've created a larger bubble in my practice, and I would say even in my church now, when they think, hey, why don't you go see, the man, they don't even bat an eye now. They just come in and full confess. They're like, yeah, let's get to it. But we have reframed what counseling or therapy looks like in our world, but that's not the real. When I say, hey, you should probably go see a marriage, counselor, therapist, whatever, get some help, they go, what? I don't need that. It's amazing the guard that goes up. But then when I reframe it and go, bro, you're paying me for business coaching. Yeah. This is for a business. How important is your business? Well, not near as important as the love of your life. Why wouldn't you invest in that? They look at it differently. And I said, yeah, whatever the stigma is, how do we break that across the board? And how do we give a little nugget of hope for them?
Well, just starting with that, breaking the stigma, man, because I think something I just cherish about you and Kayla is not only are you guys such champions of your own marriage, but you're the biggest champions I've ever seen of other people's marriages. And one of the greatest gifts, I can't tell you how many people, probably in the hundreds, that have sat in my office and said, man, it was such a gift when Pastor Matt and Pastor Michaela sat on the stage and introduced their therapist or talked about their counseling experience, because there's these two incredible leaders that we admire, we love, they're thriving, they're living this big vision, and the fact that they have this resource is like life-giving to them. It's like, it just completely shifts. So I think one of the greatest ways we can break the stigma is do what you do, is we talk about, this is a great resource. And one of the things that does is people come to me a lot earlier in the curve, because it's not a negative thing anymore. So often you'll see, like, you talk to the average marriage counselor, we call it adult attachment, right? Somebody who really specializes in that adult relationship. and they'll say one of the top things that they hear when somebody walks into their office is this is a last ditch effort. It's like this is our last hope. We think, if we had just come before we started to lose hope, it'd be a different process. But we almost always find out, not always, we almost always find out that hope is far from gone. If I was gonna say, give you some hope, something.
I gotta tell you one thing before it loses my mind. My second year in practice, I had shirts made, and it says "Last Resort Doctor." People would come to me, I would literally go, "Who are you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm the Last Resort Doctor," and I'd say that in elevator. So I had shirts made, and it became a massive joke. And we took the elephant out of the room. I said, "You just tell your friends, you come to me, and I'm the Last Resort Doctor. I double my fees. If you're coming to me proactively, preventatively, you get part of the discount." It was so funny. It was like a real thing. You said that, and I'm like, man, I haven't thought about that in years.
That's amazing.
That is so funny.
I need those T-shirts, man. We need those T-shirts.
Come on, let's go.
I think it's incredible because as our friendship has grown over the years, I've realized, man, there's actually so many parallels between chiropractic and counseling. Both of us are effectively, we're not introducing some foreign agent. Sorry, guys.
You can punch him.
We're not introducing some foreign agent like surgery or a drug into the system thinking that the system's broken. What we're doing is we trust that the system actually has, there's an inherent intelligence in the body or in an adult relationship. We're just trying to bring people into alignment with the intelligence of the system, right?
So true.
And then when you do that, it's like you don't have to teach them to talk to each other nicely. People love to try and teach communication skills. And the problem is communication skills don't work. They do them, they feel better, but they think, okay, so now I need to go do them. The problem being, I didn't stop doing them. We all do them in the beginning of the relationship. We talk to each other nicely. We listen better. We're less defensive. We didn't stop doing them because we don't know how. We stopped doing them because we stopped feeling safe, and something that was powerful for me a couple of years ago, I think your beautiful wife, Pastor Michaela, was introducing me, and she said, Brian likes to say that your marriage is working. And I actually turned to you in that moment. I said, wait a second. Is that a thing? And you're like, oh, did you not know that was? It's so exciting to me because talking about how when challenges, bumps in the road, tension come up in your marriage, that's actually not a bad thing, which is where our brain goes. Our brain goes, oh, I feel hurt by you, misunderstood by you, left alone, abandoned, defensive, attacked, whatever. That must be, something's wrong. You think, oh, no, that's actually what the marriage is designed to do. It's designed to bring these insecurities that we carry. It's designed to bring selfishness that we use to reassure ourselves. All of these kind of growth edges, it brings them to the surface. So the most encouraging thing that I can say in like a soundbite is, man, if you're going through hard stuff in your marriage, that is not a bad thing. That is normal. That means your marriage is doing its job. Also, get in community with marriages that you want. Don't get in community with people who hate their marriages. Get in community, share what you're going through. The first line of marital counseling and marital therapy, God built it into communities to get around healthy marriages, get around people because we naturally, a couple of things happen when we do that. The threat of what we're going through, it starts to lose its grip as soon as we share and we laugh about it. And then we have models. We have people who have life experience and wisdom they can share with us, and get into good counseling who's specialized, counseling who people that love God, and understand. Don't go to a generalist. I don't send anybody to a generalist. Like, don't go to, I heard they're a good counselor. Go to somebody who says, I live and breathe trauma work, or I live and breathe adult attachment, like marriage counseling, something like that. Go to a specialist and say, hey, this is what we're going through. Guide us through. If they ever tell you that you need to become somebody else to have a great marriage, move on. Because what good marriage therapy is always going to be helping you understand how you bring your authentic self and create safety for each other. And then, like we were talking about several minutes ago, that becomes this secure base, and you go out into a crazy world and you live a big life. But if you're going through something hard, it doesn't mean that you're with the wrong person or something's gone terribly wrong. It just means that the marriage is doing its job. That's what it's supposed to do. Go get some good support and transform that tension into the base that you're going to launch from.
Come on. I love it. Well, listen, we have a big treat coming up right here. It's going to be you, my bride, and me. And so we're going to dive right into that. Thank you for, one, being here, and two, you guys are in for a real treat. We'll see you at the next Little clip here. Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Maverick Entrepreneur Podcast with my beautiful bride,
Hello.
Michaela Ray Sunshine Valentine.
Sunshine all the time.
Sunshine. If you only knew. But we have a special guest with us today. Not only is he a powerhouse and a friend, and he's also our marriage counselor.
Amen.
So my wife said, can you book an appointment? And so I said, what better way to book an appointment than let's just do it live.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. This could go south real quick, so we're not sure where it's going to go, but I know you'll be fully entertained, and it's going to help somebody. And that's our goal on this podcast. We don't do them because we're bored, and we have nothing better to do, and our 3 kids don't need us. We were like, you know what? Let's just spend a lot of time, money, on a podcast that reaches nobody, and nobody shares it, and it has zero effect on the world, like a lot of other videos I watch. But we hope today that it's going to stir something, especially you could be a young entrepreneur and hoping one day to be married, or you could be married and trying to figure out life and business and marriage and family like we have had to do. And we would not have been able to do it without a couple key things. Number one is our faith, for sure, our prayer life, for sure, and my wife's trainer, throat punching, for sure. That could have been over the line.
Yeah.
Maybe. Okay.
We're going there. I
But
guess.
for sure, without our counselor, Brian Ricewig, about to be Dr. Brian Ricewig. And stay tuned, because he's not only changed our life, he has probably had the most massive impact in our entire church. I feel like we've created a bubble.
Yes, we have.
So it's so weird for me to go. I have a couple different bubbles. I have my entrepreneurial bubble that I go speak at businesses. I have my chiropractic bubble that I was the president of association. So that's a pretty big bubble, deep rooted, 22 years as a chiropractor. And then as pastors, we have our church bubble. I'm going to tell you, when I go from our bubble that we have created together and all these healthy relationships and people that talk openly just about stuff, we've gotten a really good just about talking about not pretending. I go to one of these other bubbles, it's freaky. Like I've lost, like you could lose touch with the world, what's going on in the chaos of marriages and business. And I'm hearing my chiropractic buddies going, bro, that ain't healthy language. Hey, who's your counselor? Yeah, why would we need a counselor? So every time I go on those trips, I just want to let you know, I am even more grateful for the resources that you've given us, for the deposits you've made in our marriage, and the bubble you've created for us in San Diego, in our church, in our friendships. Because I do believe the level of success in your life is the level of relationships that are healthy in your life. And so when you have really healthy relationships, you can talk through a lot more things. Matter of fact, speaking of that, did we just not have the funniest thing? We had like a friend remember we had everybody over?
Mm-hmm.
So before we get deep into this, we had all these people over, and there became a mama bear moment with one of our friends, and pretty much just let me have it. So I figured, like, well, if
I was cheerleading.
About her let me have it, or me talking about the elephant in the room?
A little bit of both.
Oh,
Seems like both sides.
Wow.
I was confused because she was right, but this is my husband. But he was
She
also.
wasn't.
But he was also right.
Oh,
I was internally
Oh.
confused.
I was right, but my approach could have been better.
Yes.
Yeah. So that didn't make my
There was
subject
truths
wrong.
on both sides, but both approaches were.
Yeah, so it lit up, and we're in front of all our friends. And let me tell you, if this was normal relationships, oh man, it would have been crazy. But I figured, like, this is a safe place. These are our closest friends.
Well, the way I was raised, that friendship would never exist after that moment.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So that was very growth moment for me to see how much I've changed, because I went to bed with no worry in the world. And I'm like, oh, things are going to be fine.
But the next morning, she did woke up going, "Hey, you gotta make sure everything's fine." I'm like, "Well, I went to bed and I text that person, and I think we're good." But I sent a group text out to everybody saying, "Hey, that escalated quickly, but I want to let you know, nothing but love." But it opened up conversations that were so healthy with all the couples, and it brought us to another level of depth
Wow.
that I go,
Isn't that true?
I mean, it sucked it had to go down that way, but dang, it was like it needed to go down. And I love every couple in that room. We should be able to talk to it, but in the world status quo, that right there, no one would ever talk to each other again.
And that's why I'm super thankful, because we're going on 18 years of marriage. And between the help of Dr. Brian and being in a good, healthy church and having Jesus is why we're still married. Because if we were in situations like that
Oh yeah.
in the beginning, it would affect our marriage, it would affect our friendships. And being married to complete opposites of each other, almost. The rocks are similar, but all the little rocks are just very different. Makes it very interesting.
Yeah, we just got prophesied over. Here I am, he's prophesying lion and he's over there going lion tamer. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a great episode. And I know we briefly talked about it, but getting right into it, I really want to help. If I had to niche it up a little bit, I remember early on when we came to you, I was like, I'm feeling stuck. I felt like I was stuck at a base camp. And I felt like for me to go take that next mountain in business, in life, this is when I was in the middle of my chiropractic, like leveling up, and I was leading a profession. I remember that I was causing a greater wedge. The more I did in chiropractic, the more that was creating this wedge. But marriage was first, but she was thinking my business, my success, my political climbing the ladder was more important than her. But I was just trying to explain to her, but nothing I said mattered. No, because there was already a filter. I remember coming to you and I said, I feel like I'm trying to take more ground, but I can't scale. And so, but my wife's, if I don't scale, I feel like she just wants me to play small, and there's nothing in me that wants to play small. And I didn't feel like she was a lion tamer. I felt like she was a lion castrator. And I didn't want to have to go to her and ask for, like, can I open your purse and see if my stuff's in there? I didn't want to ask for it back.
Yeah.
And so I know I can't be the only one.
No.
But I know that you taught me a great lesson, which I would love to revisit. It's like wine tasting. Can we revisit this? Yeah, I'd like to revisit it because I feel like we're at a different base camp now. But I feel like this is very familiar.
Yeah.
And some of the reactions that I'm provoking out of my wife right now feel like either I'm not listening, or I feel like she wants me to shrink back, or I feel like there's something there. But what the heck are we talking about?
So the real question is, how do I tame the lion without him even noticing that I'm taming the lion?
How do I tame the lion without the lion resenting me for it?
Yeah.
And do lions really need to be tamed? Is
Yeah.
a deeper question.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're just opening a can for you to figure out.
I like that you just posed like 13 questions, but
Yes.
like what the last thing you said is we can't be alone, and that's the truth. I've had this unbelievable privilege of developing a practice that's largely composed of really amazing, big vision, high capacity people, and it's been like a couple of really amazing moments that we've like come together in our work together, where Matt and Michaela as this dynamic couple are reaching one of those growth tension points, right? Like the practice years ago, you guys expanded into a new business field a couple years ago. Maybe now we haven't processed now very much, but and it's something that we all relate to. In fact, I've borrowed from your imagery. I thought that was so powerful. Hearing you years ago talking about goal setting and talking about growth, is that we have these moments where we're ascending, and then we have to have moments where we rest in a base camp and we acclimate to that new level elevation. And our relationships are no different. In fact, when we exceed our, what we like, the nervous system language is stress tolerance, right? Stress threshold. When the level of stress in our life exceeds our threshold of tolerance, we're going to go into one of two directions. All of us, we either go into our left brain or to our right brain. If I go into my left brain, I become more rigid, more controlling. I look for criticism, right? And I like batten down the hatches. If I go into my right brain, I'm going to be the person that goes into more chaotic. I become less predictable. I go rogue. Exactly. And most marriages has a combination of somebody who goes right brain and somebody who goes left brain.
Would an example be like, I can't find anything. I've lost everything. I can't find my wallet, my keys, everything's gone. I can't find anything. Where's my this or that?
That might be somebody who's
Is
going
that
a
an
little bit into
example?
chaos, right? They're dealing with the stress
Wow.
by just focusing on stimulus. They're keeping their nervous system really activated because it's energizing, it's distracting, but they're not actually doing it from a place of health. And the other person is the person who deals with that overwhelm of stress by constricting and battening down and becoming inflexible. The beauty of both of those, no matter what you do in stress, our nervous system, when it's downregulated, when the nervous system feels really safe, it becomes flexible. It becomes very stress tolerant. We can tolerate a lot of uncertainty. And so when a marriage gets to a place like you guys do every couple of years where you grow into this new season, and we've acclimated to what the territory we've already taken. We can do this and really enjoy life. But now we're moving into a new elevation, right? We're climbing up to a new.
Why do we do that to ourselves?
Why do you keep
We
climbing?
were so comfortable.
You're a lion.
Dang it.
That's why.
Dang it.
Because we got a lion. Yeah, and not everybody's like that. A lot of couples, not most of the couples I get to work with, but a lot of couples, probably most people,
Those people probably don't work with you because they don't need a counselor.
they don't,
High achiever counselor.
well, I mean, because of you, I've had this amazing privilege of getting known in a community with a lot of big vision people, which is why I have that privilege. But they reach one of those thresholds and then they get into this false dichotomy. They get this false polarization where one says, I'm feeling really stressed out, and they go for things like they start to criticize or control the other person because they're overwhelmed, and the other person hates feeling controlled, so they become more rogue and they become more resistant and more defensive, and they go into that chaotic place. And to know that this is actually, nothing's gone wrong when this happens, that this is actually a really healthy thing that's happening. What it's telling us is that we need to secure the home base first.
Yeah.
We've reached a new elevation. Our lungs are getting stretched. The air is thinner. We need to acclimate to this new level of stress, this new level of responsibility, this new level, this new territory. And so one of the most kind of counterintuitive but unlocking things for really high capacity people in my work is helping them understand that if we can, it's kind of like a trust fall for that big vision person. If we can trust the marriage, and I'm going to let myself.
If you don't like trust falls.
Then you're probably in the wrong business. If we can let ourselves constrict a little bit and say, before we move forward, I'm going to make sure that this relationship, my husband and wife relationship, is really secure. And that might mean the other person saying, I feel overwhelmed, I need to slow down, or I feel overwhelmed, I need to scale back, I need to drop some responsibility or something. It's like, okay, that takes a lot, because I've got this thing inside of me, this engine, this lion inside of me that wants to take more territory. And the idea of letting you pull that in for a little while, it feels like coming under a ceiling. It feels like being like trapped. And the thing that's so powerful to realize is, man, if I trust you enough to say that I will not move forward without you, your security is more important than my expansion, that when we get to a place where we feel really secure as a couple, man, our capacity for stress magnifies. It just gets so much bigger. When Kayla feels like, I know life is crazy, it's chaotic, we're juggling a million things. I show up to a meeting not knowing what the meeting's going to be about, but I know Matt's got my back. I know that if I say something, he'll cancel our schedule. I know that I come first. Her tolerance for uncertainty just amplifies. And so it's one of those things that it's hard to learn when you have a big vision. It feels like the other person is actually holding me back. But if I trust that security, if I can meet their needs first, they will actually enlarge my territory. It's a little counterintuitive.
No, I get it.
I have a question about that.
I feel like you're crate training me right now.
This is great.
Crate training. I love that.
I already
I'm
bought the
crate
crate.
training a lion
I already
right
bought
now.
the crate. It's right over here.
I believe it. They tell you when you get a dog, you got to crate train
Yeah.
him. And then this behavior thing happens. I feel like I'm picking you up right now.
I love it.
I have a question.
And I'm not
about
saying
though.
it in a bad way, because I know what crate training can do. So, because you want to be able to take that dog everywhere and just let him go.
Mhm.
This is just a lion. And the other thing, where's my lion?
I love that.
Security.
That's
Can
in
I
the
ask the
shot.
question?
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
So
Shoot.
since we're obviously the example right now, but many people are going to relate to this, I'm sure everybody. When I'm asking for restriction, I'm asking to tame the lion. What could I do to make him trust and know that that's not a long-term thing, because what I've heard him say before is, you always just want me to do less. You always, always, always. And so I kind of feel like I'm in this box where he thinks that that's how I just want to live. But I don't want to live that way, but I don't know if he fully trusts that I don't want that permanently. But when that happens for a season, then I can see myself, expanding. All right, let's go, let's do this, because the security's there. So how do I establish the trust that he knows that that's not what I'm asking for forever?
Yeah,
You
can
know?
we? I think even before that, I think we've gotten to the point where now we're just fascinated with each other. That's just my word for frustration, So we're very fascinated.
So endeared when you said that.
Yeah, well, it makes me think of it different.
It's
When I think of
powerful.
frustration, I get upset. Like, I don't want to be frustrated with my wife, but when I look at her and go, she fascinates me. It just helps me go, I don't understand her. But before that, how do you rebuild that trust? Or because now anything can trigger it. So the term is, we don't want to walk on eggshells around each other. And I hear that term a lot being used. It's like, yeah, well, I'm not sure if I can even say that. How do you give courage to somebody to be able to say it without knowing that there could be an explosion on the other side, or that I have to walk on eggshells, like I got to small feed them to get back to the point where I can trust what she's saying? Like, I feel like there's a step before that one. And I could be wrong.
Before I can receive from Kayla that she's in one of those places, she needs to base camp for a second. She needs to know that I've got her back.
Yeah.
Before I can receive that, how do I build trust with her?
Well, I'm saying, she's saying, her question was just saying that,
It's
do I let
base
him
camp. It's
know?
not the end of the
How do I let
climb.
him
It's the
know?
base camp. Like,
Yeah.
he's hearing me say, this is it. It's over. This is the max capacity you can ever handle. But what I'm saying is, this is a base camp. We can keep going after this. But he's thinking what I'm communicating is, no, like, done.
yeah, well, and also, yeah, because now we're living in this frustration, tension. I feel like she dropped my rope a few rungs down here, and I'm upset about it. How do we rebuild? Like, all right, let's hit the reset so we could talk about these things. Like, it's a minute. Like, say we want to talk about some issues coming up, our marriage agenda or whatever. It's like the first thing, it's already triggering things. How do we get rid of the triggers?
Well, it takes me back to, actually, it was you, Pastor Michaela, that for me, there was kind of a light bulb moment. This is maybe 2 years ago at our church's getaway, and you were introducing me, and you made the comment, Brian likes to say that your marriage is working. And it was one of the first ones, like, oh, that's a concept that feels like lighthearted and helpful and really empowering and positive to me. But it never occurred to me that would actually feel empowering to other people. It's just like the best language I knew how to say for it. And the reason that idea is so powerful, the idea that when you're going through something tense and like you're describing, Dr. Matt, like we're in a place of tension, to actually stand, like it's the difference between, am I frustrated or am I fascinated? Is something gone wrong, or is my marriage working? When we're in a place where it's like, we can't even bring up this topic and it gets explosive. For us to be able to say, oh, this actually is a healthy indicator that we've gone polarized. Somebody's gone rogue.
That's the word, polarized.
We feel like we've drifted away. Somebody's feeling left behind, or somebody's feeling misunderstood. So what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to name, why does this topic have so much energy on it? We always want to solve internal problems before we try and solve external problems. One of the most explosive ways that you can make anything just a war is try and solve an internal security problem. Do you have my back? Can I count on you? Are you with me? Do you see me? Try and solve that problem through the dishes or through finances, or try and talk in code of your schedule or the parenting of the kids. When we're talking about like cleaning up the house,
We've hit every nugget right there.
but really,
Did you guys talk before this?
No, we did not
cleaning
talk.
up the house is code for, can I count on you?
Oh,
Do you
my
see me?
gosh.
That is World War II.
Are you on our
Bro,
cameras?
you're not alone.
Are you on our
is couples.
cameras?
You live here.
This is
Oh
all
my
couples. This is all of us. That's why I say your marriage is working when you get to that place.
Oh,
And what we want to do is we want to be able to slow down and say, oh, I can feel that this has gotten really raw. And honestly, a couple of the words that I think are some of the most powerful in the English language is to say, I don't know what to do. I can tell that this feels supercharged and I don't know what to do. I'm guessing, like, something I've learned about Sarah over the years, like, that when she gets to a place where she feels like really resistant or like harsh or like rigid to me. I used to go to the place where it's like, why are you being difficult, or why are you being controlling, or why are you being so critical? And now, oh, she's feeling alone. She's feeling like I've left her behind.
So you just reprogrammed your brain to think that way.
Over many healing moments with Sarah, I've been able to reprogram. Now when she feels tense, I say, oh, she's feeling alone. And so I've learned to be able to speak to the alone. An example of that recently is last year, there was a moment when our washing machine, our oven, and our refrigerator all broke on the same day. And by the time
That's spiritual warfare, bro.
that's
testing your
marital
marriage.
spiritual
You don't even have a
assault.
Dr. Brian to call.
And we don't have a Dr. Brian. That's right. By the time I got home, she was ready to buy 3 big appliances, and I was like, "Slow the train. I want to do a little bit of research. I want to think about this first." And as soon as I said, "I'm not ready to buy right this minute," she got so tense, and it took me a minute. I was like, she's been dealing with this stress all day. And when I say I'm not ready to buy, what she hears is, it's all on you to solve this problem. For the next 2 weeks, as we're shopping for appliances, you get to figure out how to like wash the clothes or do the dishes or whatever.
Oh, wow.
And so my brain goes, oh, my wife is feeling on that island. She's feeling like I don't have her back. And so I just started to speak to the alone feeling. I just started, hey, sweetie, no matter what happens over the next 2 weeks, I will cancel appointments. I'll do whatever I do. This is not on you all by yourself. We'll solve this problem together. If you need me, I'll blah, blah, blah. And I just start to tell Sarah, you're not alone. I'm telling it in code, but I'm letting her know you're not alone. And then I see my wife calm down.
Look how smart he is.
Well,
Dang it.
I mean, that's like 13, 14 years.
You're a trained lion, bro.
I'm a tamed lion.
No, I'm not using
I like that better. Train
Train.
is better. Train is better.
because you could still be trained to kill. You look at dogs; they're trained to kill. They're trained to sit. They're trained to.
They're dangerous.
They're dangerous.
They're still dangerous. They're just
still
trained now.
dangerous.
Do you know a
They're
tamed
not
lion?
domesticated.
A tamed lion can still do powerful things. They're just
I don't like the word tame.
Yeah, I had a good friend
It
who
has a negative equity in my life. I just rather not use it. You can train me, but don't tame me.
don't try and domesticate me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Domesticate to
Yeah.
me sounds. Might as well call me a eunuch.
Yeah. Jesus is good, but he's not safe. Yeah,
It's-
don't tame me. I like
is
that.
good.
I like that shift. A good buddy of mine, he spent many years working with like at-risk youth, so like young teenage men who are already like on their way to prison. And he used to say, "Man, I love working with these guys. Other people hate working with them. They're difficult, they're challenging, they're reactive." He's like, "But I'd way rather tame." He used the word, "I'd much rather tame a Mustang than try and motivate a mule."
That's
He
right.
said, I like that energy, but we have to know we like to train a Mustang rather than motivate a mule.
Donkeys bug me.
But just going back to that,
Stallions.
I think one of the only ways that we get to the place where we can automatically reset is we've got to go through that wilderness a couple of times and realize that it's safe. Like I had to go through it with Sarah many times where like, oh, when Sarah feels so against me,
So you had to listen.
we have to like
You
we
had
have
to
to
tune it.
realize we have to realize we're in that tension. We have to realize we're overwhelmed. We have to orient. We have to like, oh, we're overwhelmed. We have to come back and start to talk it out. I have to get to the bottom of what Sarah's really going through. She can get to the bottom of what I'm really going through, and then we get to say that we're on each other's team again. And when you think, that's why that language of like, I don't know what to do is actually really powerful language. It's actually really empowering language. When Kayla realizes that she's overwhelmed and she can turn to her husband and say, "Whew, I have that overwhelmed feeling again. I feel like I want to put the brakes on everything and I don't really want to do that. I kind of feel like I don't know what to do. Can we slow down? I think I just need to know that we come first. I need to know that you've got my back. I'm feeling that overwhelmed feeling." And it becomes most powerful.
Okay, when that doesn't work, what do we do? Because I think
that reach becomes most powerful.
I have a great example of me trying to tell you I needed help with something on Monday, and then you reacted very.
Very fascinated.
I was very fascinated.
Really?
Remember, I said, "Oh, that's a mature response."
yeah, but I
See,
was
but
being
one of the-
sarcastic.
That goes back to.
So
I
he responded
train
with
people-
sarcasm when I said, "I need help."
Kayla said, "I need some help," and you said,
I don't know what to do about this. I need some help, and then he came up with a really sarcastic solution that
I
was
haven't
just
seen the text messages.
ridiculous, something we would never do. And I said, "Oh, that's mature."
I was trying. You know what? Then my bad. I just think text isn't good for me.
Text
I'm
is-
very.
As soon as you feel tension, stop texting.
Yeah,
Couples,
yeah.
Oh, that's
If you
gold
get
right
nothing
there.
else out
That's
of this,
gold.
if you get nothing else out of this
Yeah.
podcast,
I
as
shouldn't have
soon as there's
texted.
tension, stop texting. And you don't have to ghost them. Say, I love you. This feels tense. I want to talk in person. Like, stop texting. Stop working it out.
Say
Because-
that though. You're saying say that.
Say, this feels tense. I love you. Let's talk about this.
That's gold right there. That's worth
Don't
every
ghost
dollar.
them. Don't just stop
Yeah,
responding.
yeah.
That might be.
Yeah, that might be good. I like what you did there.
But we get somewhere between 60 and 80% of our data from
Yeah.
tone and body language.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I can say the exact same sentence, the exact same words in two different ways, and they mean completely different.
I'm not a good texter.
And so what happens when I'm reading a text message
Yeah.
and I feel misunderstood or I feel under attack?
Mm.
I read the message, I read your attacking tone into the message. And so you see escalation amplify when we're
Yeah.
when trying to text through difficult things.
And I'm a short texter. That's why I just go voice memos now. Like I don't have time for text.
Oh, that's a little bit of a hack right there. Like when you send me one of those voice, I actually get to hear Dr. Matt's voice.
yes.
And that's a lot more data. Like I can say to Sarah in a voice message, I can use my tone to say, "Oh, sweetie, I love you. This is tense. I know I'm not sure what to do yet, but we can work this out." I could type the same words, and it might
It's
sound
true.
totally different.
Can
But-
you start some with Sweetie too?
I heard that. Listen, I am taking mental floss notes right now.
Okay.
Okay,
But
trust
let's
me.
go back to so when our bodies, our nervous systems are overwhelmed, we've exceeded our stress threshold. The first thing we do is we're going to go right or we're going to go left. We're going to either into like more kind of chaotic, impulsive behaviors, or we're going to get rigid and controlling. We're going to get critical. We're going to go into one of those two directions. The first thing that's so empowering is to know which direction do I go. What does my armor look like? Like for me, I get really defensive. I go rogue. I'll start to make decisions without Sarah because I feel like, she doesn't understand me. And I start to go rogue. Sarah starts to get really involved. She starts to get really interested in every decision and every thought I have. And for us to know our armor is really helpful because I can now turn to Sarah and be like, I can tell I'm feeling really defensive right now. Can we start over? Armor is just that early indicator light. It's just that dashboard light that tells you, you're getting overwhelmed. You guys got to come back together before we try and solve the
That's when I
external
say,
problem.
will you be my friend? That's what I'm trying to say. Can we start over?
Yeah.
Okay.
I told him we need an appointment with Dr. Brian because it's sad if every single day you have to ask me if we're friends.
No, I go, hey, can we be friends today?
Can we be friends?
And for me, it's like, hey, let's figure this out. But now I guess that's not even working.
Yeah.
So it's like tone deaf.
And being able to say, for the last 3 days in a row, we've started the day with me asking, or you asking me if we're friends. What's going on? What are we carrying some stress right now? Are you feeling a little like left behind? Are you feeling unseen?
Yeah.
Are you feeling that alone feeling? Because when we can just put our attention there for a second, we start with the internal problem. We want to solve the internal problem first. Then when we turn our attention back to the external thing, what do we do about this new venture or this tension or this finances or the parenting issue? Then we're looking at that problem from a place of unity. And if we try and look at it from a place of disunity, we're actually asking, do you have my back? We're asking that question in code. And that never goes well. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So wait, do you want to ask something?
Yeah.
Okay, do it.
Well, do you and Sarah take turns being the one to say, let's look internal? Like if you're at it, and then is it like always the same person as someone, the more mature person in that moment? Or
Yeah, I love that question.
Ah,
It's almost become, it actually really annoys me when the tension is starting to build and we're in that moment, and then Sarah will take a deep breath and she'll say, I can hear I sound really critical now. I'm sorry, can we start over? It annoys the junk out of me because I'm like, she was the healthier one first. She beat me to it. Because now the other person's totally taken off all their armor and you just look like the jerk holding a sword. You just look like this mean person. So now it becomes fun to be like, who can
That's so
can
good.
see that we're in tension first?
so good. I
and be
don't
the
know if
first
that's
one?
healthy for me.
Like there was a moment recently, one of the most amazing leaders I've ever met, Pastor Jurgen at our church, he was telling this story and he had this realization, and it's like it was just such a minor part of the story. But as he's telling the story, he's like, and then I turned to Leanne and I said, sweetie, I'm so broken. I'm like, that is what a secure, empowered man sounds like.
Yeah.
He's not afraid to say,
Yeah.
I got it wrong.
Yeah.
I'm operating in fear. I had a blind spot.
Oh.
Like what I teach, what I've learned and what I'm
So
learning. I'll say it this way: what I'm learning and what I try and teach other men is that, man, as soon as you get feedback, a growth edge feedback, we want to try and take on a posture of no contest. I have nothing to defend myself against. If some random person comes up to you and says, because you were joking about that
Book on humility.
the Power of Humility book, right?
Yeah.
And you make this great moment, like going back to create this permission. And if somebody comes up to you afterwards and says, you really need that, they could be operating in a totally ugly spirit. That could come from an ugly place. And we still have the freedom to be like,
Do you mean to tame them?
No, actually, you know what? I felt like it was good for me because when they said it, I go, cool, thank you. That's why I'm
Thank
reading
you.
the book.
yeah, just take that posture of like, I've got nothing to prove to you, and I've got nothing to defend myself against you. And that's the same posture we want to take with our spouse. If Sarah comes to me and she's like, Brian, I feel like super off your radar. The defensive part of me is the fear. The part of me that wants to defend myself is the fear that I'm failing. The part of me that wants to say, what are you talking about? Like, why would you feel that? I think about you every day. Everything I do is for you. The defensive part of me is the part of me that's in fear. The part of me that can turn and be like, oh, sweetie, thank you so much for telling me. I didn't know. That's the part of me that really believes in me as a husband, as a man.
So how do you work on that?
You fail forward. Yeah. I think the only way we can work on it is we have those moments, we get defensive, we wake up, and we're like, whoa, I just spent the last 2 days defending myself against you, and you were just trying to tell me you were feeling alone. I'm so sorry. The only way we work on it is through moments where we actually get it wrong and we're courageous enough to say, I missed it. What I really want, if I could go back, I really want you to say, thank you for telling me that. I want to grow.
I need a red easy button.
Easy
Like it's
for,
almost, it's like when we're getting in these moments, I just have to hit the button.
And what would the button say if you had that
I
button?
don't know. I mean, it just needs to say something
It'd
like,
say reset.
it's like a pattern interrupt, you know, it's
Yeah.
like, hey, we're in it right now. Hit that easy. That was easy.
If
You're
I
in
punch,
fear.
if I throat punch you, would it
No,
remind you?
that did not work. That did not work.
That could be a
Most-
good reminder.
Most
No.
physical assault
We're
results
past
in
that now. That was so.
Physical assault.
activation of our sympathetic
so
nervous
5 years
system.
ago.
Yeah.
It's true.
I don't never want to go revisit
And
your throat punch.
I was a nursing mother with a newborn in 115-degree weather.
Ooh.
So
Yeah.
in my defense,
Well,
even though you did deserve it.
even though I provoked you.
Even though.
And I
Yeah.
like to, you know, it's like when you're going to race a car, you want to see really what a Porsche can do.
Mm,
Every once in a while, you might hit a guardrail.
you're gonna
I
bump.
realized, okay, I now know my wife's limit right there. I just pushed it and I got throat punched. But I mean, look, I mean, we can now talk about it.
Yeah,
That's good.
it's quite funny.
But I just like figuring out how to hit a reset. I don't like stuck patterns. I don't want to wake up and there's friction. I want to know the hacks on how to reset something. Because here's the truth. You know, I told a funny story last night just about, you know, guys can even think they're listening, go all out, and then they get it wrong because they didn't understand. They didn't ask better questions. There's been many times where I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll hear her talking like I got this. So I am listening. And then I go do it, and it was completely not what she wanted. It's because I didn't ask better questions. But now that I've screwed it up, how do I hit the Control-Alt-Delete?
Yeah.
Like, how long do I gotta feel bad for screwing something up?
So when we screw up and we armor up, instead of being really humble, available, present to our partner, to our spouse, we show them our armor. I get defensive. I go into attack. I withdraw. I shut down. I cut you off. I do any of those armor moves.
Quit putting on the armor is what you're saying.
We gotta wake up. Armor for me, I think armor is actually it's a dashboard light to me. So when I'm defensive, it's my nervous system telling me, Brian, you're in fear. Brian, you're overwhelmed. Brian, you feel like you're under attack. And the problem is when I'm in a defensive posture, what I'm protecting myself from is Sarah. And what I want to protect myself from is fear. The most powerful weapon I have to protect myself from fear, the fear that I'm failing, inadequate, not good enough, whatever your fear sounds like, is Sarah. So I want to turn to her and I want to be able to say, man, I did it. I went to that like really defensive place. I'm so sorry. I think when
Sweetie.
sweetie.
So-
So I think we tend to think like we'll go to like a more extreme example when there's been some sort of breach in a relationship, right? Like somebody's betrayed the other person's trust, they lied, or there was infidelity or something. Like there's a real strong breach in trust. What we tend to assume is that the way I rebuild trust is by convincing you I'm trustworthy. convincing always comes from anxiety. The actual thing the other person wants. Obviously, we need behavior change. We need to stabilize. If I'm lying, I need to stop lying first.
Say that line again. Convincing always comes from anxiety.
Anxiety.
Oh, wow.
My impulse that I need to convince you, I need
Insert.
to change your perspective. I need to convince you that I'm trustworthy or that you're safe or whatever. It always comes from anxiety. And so obviously we do need to stabilize the behavior first. But the thing that actually rebuilds trust in the two nervous systems, the sympathetic nervous system, is the other person feeling that I'm calm. When I'm able to, when let's say that I've like done some stuff on my phone, and the other person says, "Can I see your phone?" If I say, like, "Why do you need to see it?" Yes, you can see it, but why do you want to? What I'm communicating to the other person is that I'm anxious.
Yeah.
And that activates them. When I'm able to say, absolutely, anytime, you never
Take
have to
it.
ask, sweetie, anytime you want, look in that phone. What it communicates to them is they've got nothing to hide. They feel safe, which makes me say, which my nervous system says, I'm safe.
Because when she's asking to see it, she doesn't feel safe.
That she's
And if
feeling
I
anxiety.
come back at her, it double
Wow.
downs on it.
Exactly. We escalate each other.
That's true.
Absolutely.
That's so good.
That came from your initial question. How do you do the reset? It really starts with your own level of safety. So if I'm defensive, if I'm super angry, if I feel misunderstood, getting to a place where I'm able, and it takes a lot of self-trust to be able to say, I'm in a really defensive place right now, and I can take a deep breath, I can put down my armor, and I can actually shift my posture. Because the thing that's going to signal to my partner that Brian is different, he's shifted, it's safe now, is Brian feeling calm. And so the best way the way that you're the most accessible, the earliest form, the earliest mechanism that we have to get the two parts of my brain because when we get overwhelmed, the corpus callosum, the part of my brain that allows right and left to talk to each other, it shuts off when I'm overwhelmed.
Hate when I do that.
I hate it when that happens. The fastest way
Freaking corpus callosum.
to get that corpus callosum reactivated and my brain talking to itself is to name the overwhelm. So being able to tell my spouse, my husband or my wife, oh, I can tell that, man, when we get into this place, it feels like nothing is good enough. I feel like I'm failing. I feel like you don't believe in me. What I'm doing is I'm naming the threat, this elephant that's in the room, and I'm putting it on the table. And by naming it, my brain has to turn on the corpus callosum. It has to reactivate. By naming it, we take the power away from it. Now, that doesn't mean that as soon as I name it, all the challenge, all the tension is going to fall off.
Right.
But you're saying, how do I reset?
But your brain will work better.
But my brain starts to work better immediately. Yeah.
Amazing.
How do we reset? We call out what's happening. Yeah. And we say, hey, can we start over? I can tell that I'm feeling really defensive right now, and you probably feel really dismissed.
So what I'm hearing you say is this whole thing is a journey of better communication, taking off our armor, knowing when we get triggered, name it. And this is just going to take time, repetition, and energy.
Time, repetition, and energy. Yeah, it's going to take reps. It's going to take reps.
Well, it took time to get like this. So it's going to take time to we got to do this a couple times because you're reprogramming our nervous system is what we're doing. And that takes time because you got to go through repetitions a healthy way.
You are literally reprogramming your nervous system.
Yeah. And then so, time repetition is we got to put the reps in to get better at it. So that it's not, we're laying neurological pathways, which is all repetition. And the last one is energy. It's going to take energy to know. It's probably not good to do this when we're tired.
Yeah.
That's good.
I do feel like sometimes, though, you can't wait till the morning.
Well, I tried to go to bed on Monday night at 9:30, and then he came in mad. I didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I didn't want to talk about. I just said let's start fresh tomorrow. I had a long day.
No, you wanted to talk, and I didn't.
No,
Yeah.
I just wanted to pull a layer back because I was clueless.
But I was halfway asleep.
Babe, you can't lay your head down and pretend you're halfway asleep. I saw you on your phone and you hide it.
Maybe.
And then you're like, I'm halfway asleep. I'm like, babe, you were just scrolling.
That's
You
how long it
just
takes
sent me on
the phone down.
Instagram a cute couch 30 seconds ago. So I ran upstairs and I saw you hide your phone. And now you're like, I'm so tired. I'm sleepy. No, you're not. I just was trying to get a clue. But what I realized is I don't want to do it tired.
Yeah.
I just
Smart.
want to be able to hear the clue so I can process, pray about it, like try to calm down about it.
That really people hear me use the word vulnerable a lot. It's helpful to define what that means is we're going to a place of exposure. Vulnerability is going to a place of emotional exposure.
What if exposure triggers?
Uh-huh. Well, if vulnerability is new territory, right? If exposure is scary, I haven't had a lot of safe experiences with that. It's probably going to trigger self-protection. It's probably going to trigger the fangs. But it takes a lot of fuel. Your brain
Yeah.
consumes more glucose than any other single part of your body.
That's why I
Sometimes,
needed sugar more this week.
Yeah, maybe.
in some moments, your brain at like when you're in therapy, your brain is working so hard with that emotional labor that your brain is consuming about 60% of your body's total glucose.
Wow.
Massive drain.
I didn't even know that.
So if you
That's
are
amazing.
tired, end of the day, your glucose levels are super low, and you're trying to have those it's a recipe for disaster. When something I hear people quote all the time is like, don't let the sun go down on your anger. That is not saying
Yeah.
refuse to stop fighting until you resolve it. Because if it's 11 o'clock, the sun already went down on your anger. What you want to do
6 hours ago.
6 hours ago, right? What you want to do at that point is you want to say, we're not going to gain any good territory here. I love you. I trust that tomorrow we can wake up and work this out. Sorry for how ugly I get. Can we start over and do this tomorrow? Because like you said, when we're tired, you might be fighting because you're tired.
That's great. It's like getting on the same page before you go to bed.
Yeah.
Maybe not the same page, but
You can be really angry.
Yeah.
You can feel really angry, but you can also say in your anger,
yeah.
you can also say, hey, I know that you're on my team. I don't feel it right now, but I love you. I know you got my back. We're going to work this out. You can do something like that.
That's good.
You could do that.
Thank you. I'm going to listen to that a couple times because I'm going to rewire some thinking.
I like it.
Okay.
That's good.
That's
Yeah.
so good. Well, cool. I want to land the plane and then I want to go on to part 2. I want to ask you a question. When is your book coming out? Because this needs to be a book right here. And what would the title be? No pressure.
I will just say truthfully, this is
Be vulnerable. You're
I'll be a little bit, yeah. This is the Maverick Entrepreneur Podcast. The outline of that book has already actually gotten started. So
I love
it hasn't gotten
knew it.
written. It's not written yet. But I've
it's
already
written.
put it together. Yeah.
Just not penned.
Not penned. Yeah. I have no idea when that's going to come out. Like you said, I'm still completing my doctorate right now, so that probably takes precedence, but with definitely in under 2 years.
I'm going to help you do both. Don't worry.
I love it.
No, it's mission.
I love it.
This book has to get out to the world. So done beats perfect.
And what the title is, I don't know. I might ask Michaela to title it.
Oh, dear
Yeah.
Lord.
Oh,
I don't know why.
It's gonna be
Ever
awesome.
since you introduced me, I'm like, I'm gonna let her handle my titles. Maybe your marriage is working.
Don't throat punch your spouse. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Epic throat punch.
The throat punch heard around the world. No. Your marriage is working though.
Your marriage is working.
And you have a subtitle under that. Honestly, that hit something, not just in your cognitive brain, but when you hit it, it hit our spirit. And so many people, when we then did that, you felt everyone in the audience at that marriage getaway go,
Oh, it is.
and everyone started, and the whole thing, the whole pool, because we have an epic pool party, the whole pool was going, your marriage is working. And now we have friends too, when we get a little feisty. So good to see your marriage working. I mean, it has become a ripple effect. So I
That's
mean,
the
that
best.
you got to know there's something on that.
That's the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go get that domain now
Okay.
before this comes out.
Yeah.
It's already gone, people.
This isn't live,
It's
right?
gone. Well, listen, I think we hit some good stuff.
So good. Such gold.
Do we feel?
I hope you learned a lot.
I'm gonna
I'm
take
just
that
kidding.
as
I learned so much.
that's good, babe. Yeah, when I'm done with my
Sweetie.
book on humility,
Sweetie.
we're gonna talk about it.
Okay.
But anyways, we love you. We're
I love you
grateful
guys.
for you. Thank you for being such a gift to our community, our friends. We can't tell you the testimonies we have heard. And I was even telling you one about yesterday. Here I am trying to do a business Zoom call. And I get this
Yeah.
couple there. They're all so cheeky and everything. I had to call them out going, this is so uncomfortable watching you guys like you got done with the Dr. Brian, session. They go, oh, we did. I was like, I was joking, you know, but
That's the
you
best.
could just
Awesome.
see it. They were
That's the
just so
best.
connected. And that's what you do. You reconnect people where the enemy tries to bring disunity and disconnection. You're like the reconnector. You're like an electrician for couples, just reconnecting the power source. And when that source is reconnected, there's power. And wow, that just came out of nowhere.
That's
So
good.
that is good.
Amen.
All right, well, we love you.
I love you guys.
Everybody, that was straight gold. And hope you enjoyed it as much as we do. Get ready for part 2 of The Maverick Entrepreneur with Dr. Brian Reiswig.